I'm Sam Foreman. I'm an attorney and founder of Foreman Law. Our firm focuses on mergers and acquisitions, working with folks buying or selling businesses, or buying or selling ownership in a business, and then the ongoing legal needs for our clients. I want to talk to you about the Corporate Transparency Act. And what are the reporting requirements, what companies have to actually report under the law, and then some next steps to think about. The law went into effect January 1, 2024. It's going to apply to a lot of small businesses. It's really important to take this law seriously. The penalties for non-compliance are potentially really severe, up to $500 a day and up to 2 years in prison. Those penalties can apply not just to the company themselves, of course, but also to senior officers. So your president, CTO, CEO, CFO, those types of folks could end up having some personal liability under this law. This isn't just an annual report. It's not like getting an EIN. For most companies, compliance is going to be fairly complex. It's going to interconnect with a lot of other businesses. You've got to be thinking about a lot of common transactions that businesses deal with: forming a business, buying or selling a business, hiring and firing key employees, key officers, certain financing transactions, raising capital. There's just a lot of things that are going to come into play. So when it comes to the reporting obligations, you've got two kinds of reports that companies are going to have to submit. The first is the initial report. And the second is updated reporting, anytime the information in the initial report changes. So that initial report for companies formed before 2024 is just going to be kind of a current snapshot of beneficial ownership and some information about the company. For companies formed during or after 2024, it's going to be that same information plus information about company applicants. That's the folks that actually created the business. It might be an attorney, might be somebody at the actual company itself. The updated reports, that information is, or that report has to be submitted anytime the information in the initial report or an updated report changes. And so that can be a result of a lot of different kinds of transactions, as we mentioned. The initial reports for companies formed before 2024 have to be submitted within, by the end of 2024. For companies formed during 2024, they've got 90 days to submit the report. For companies formed after 2024, it's 30 days to file. And for all companies, the updated reports have to be filed within 30 days after the change that requires the report. A reporting company is any company that is created by filing some sort of document with a governmental entity. So that's going to be a limited liability company, a corporation, certain kinds of registered partnerships. In some states, there's business trusts. So there's a lot of different kinds of entities that could be. Sole proprietorships, unregistered partnerships, those aren't going to be reporting companies. A reporting company has to file unless it's exempt. There's two key exemptions, and there are 23 total. There are two key exemptions that are going to be relevant for most businesses. The first is the large operating company exemption. At a really high level, it requires having at least $5 million in sales reported on the prior year's tax return, which can be on a consolidated basis, and 21 or more full-time employees that cannot be on a consolidated basis. So those two key components: 5 million or more in sales, 21 or more full-time employees. The other key exemption is for exempt subsidiaries. So a subsidiary that is wholly owned and wholly controlled by an entity that is also exempt under the Corporate Transparency Act, that entity is also exempt from filing requirements, but it has to be wholly controlled and wholly owned by that exempt parent company. So we've talked about what are the reporting obligations. We've talked about what companies are going to report, a little bit about some exemptions. So what are your next steps? You really need to get educated on this. Make sure that if you're a business owner or executive, that you have a good enough comprehensive overview of how things work so that you can spot issues and make sure that someone on your team, and this is the next key step, is really responsible for this, is going to know it inside and out and be your go-to to make sure that compliance is handled properly. And then get a good compliance plan in place. Put it in writing. Make sure that people are properly trained. Even if your company is exempt, this is a really important step to take because of how interconnected the legal obligations on this law are going to be. I hope this information has been helpful. Please consider sharing this with someone that you think would benefit from this information. Please consider following our firm on LinkedIn and other social platforms, and check out our website for additional resources.